Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Jessica, and in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you all new Dollar Tree fall DIYs. These DIYs are very easy to recreate, and I think they have a really high-end look to them. I hope you guys are going to love these as much as I do. But before we get started, if you are new here, please do consider subscribing down below. We're going to be starting off with one of my favorite DIYs in today's video. So the first thing I'm going to be using is this sign that I found at Dollar Tree. This one is in the shape of a cutting board, and I'm actually going to be using the back side of it today to decorate. This is my all-time favorite white chalk paint. If you guys are familiar with my channel, you will have seen this paint a million times already. I just ordered from Amazon. I'll leave it linked down below. I love how quickly it covers dark surfaces. And I'm just using a foam brush from Dollar Tree because I feel like these brushes work the best for these types of surfaces. So now that I did that one coat, I let it dry completely, and now we are ready to decorate. And to decorate today, we are going to be using these window clings from Dollar Tree. Just fell in love with these window clings as soon as I saw them at Dollar Tree, and I knew I wanted to do a DIY with them. So I'm going to be attaching them to the board using that same brush and Mod Podge that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. But before I go in with the Mod Podge, I'm actually just going to remove all of the window clings and kind of just play around with them. I want to figure out the placement before I go ahead and actually glue them down. And I did change my mind a few times, so this way you just have a little bit of freedom to kind of play around with it before you actually glue it all down. I was pretty happy with this arrangement here, so now I'm just going to go in with my Mod Podge, and I am using the matte Mod Podge today. What I like to do is just take my time with this process. So I'm going to be doing one window cling at a time and just carefully lifting up half of it, gluing it down, and then doing the other side. For the smaller images, I can just take them off, put some glue down, and then just place it back on top. But basically, we want to glue all of these images down one by one to the board, and then after I give that a little bit of time to dry, I go over the entire board with one final coat of Mod Podge just to seal everything in. Here you can see I'm going in with that final coat over the entire board, and I just like to cover it, make sure you get all of those edges down, and just do one final coat and then let this dry completely. And here's a closer look at the final result. I felt that this one would be perfect styled by my coffee bar because of those beautiful images of coffee on it, and I just really love the way this one turned out. For this next DIY, I'm going to be starting with these 3 photo frames from the Dollar Tree. And actually, we're not going to be using the frame for this DIY. I had a different idea in mind. So to start off, you just want to take all the plastic wrap off the frames, and then I'm actually going to be cutting the handle off, and that is because we're only going to need the beads for the DIY today. This frame here is still plenty beautiful, and I'm definitely going to hold on to it because I plan on using it in a future DIY or just for decoration. I also picked up this shadow box at Dollar Tree because I want to use that inside Happy Fall pumpkin as part of this would-be garland. But I'm going to take it out really carefully because I'm actually going to be using the same exact shadow box in another DIY coming up later on in the video. The pumpkin pulls off really easily, and then it just has some foam blocks that you can easily remove on the back, and if you like, you can just sand this down and paint it if you want to have a finished look on the back. I'm also going to be using some twine for this DIY from Dollar Tree. Start off, we just want to make a really simple tassel. So take your twine and wrap it around your 4 fingers a bunch of times, just like this. Then you can cut a smaller piece of twine. So once I had that cut, I just pushed it underneath my 4 fingers here and then carefully slid them off. Now I'm going to put a series of 2 or 3 knots up top and then just cut directly across from that knot. Then once you pull it straight, it's going to look just like this, and I'm actually going to fold it over and hide that knot in the head of the tassel. Then you can just take some more twine, wrap it around, and then tie that into a knot just to bind it all together. Then I'm just going to pull my ends straight and give them a trim to make sure they are nice and even. Next, I'm going to be cutting a piece of twine quite a bit longer than what my actual finished garland is going to be. I like to have some extra just in case. And then I'm going to take that and knot it around the tassel. So now we can start to put all of our beads on. You want your would-be garland to be a little bit longer, you can always just get another frame or two. This is how long mine was with the beads from those 3 frames. Now, just to hold everything in place, I'm going to take the end of my twine and actually loop it back through that last bead while I'm holding everything very tight. This way, it just doesn't move around too much and it keeps all your beads nice and secure and in place. Now for the final step, you could just make another tassel and add that one to this end here, but I thought it would look really pretty with this pumpkin on the end, and I just decided to hot glue it. I actually had an idea when I was making this. If you had 2 of these pumpkins, you could just glue them together and that way you would have a finished pumpkin on both ends, but I just have the one, so I'm going to work with that today. You could also just drill a hole in the top of this pumpkin and tie it to your twine instead of hot gluing it. And here is how it turned out. I was so happy to finally be able to make a would-be garland that was made completely from items from the Dollar Tree. For this next DIY, I picked up 2 of these pickup trucks that I found in the Crafter Square at the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to go ahead and remove the string. We're not going to need that. And then I also picked up one of these wood boxes from the Crafter Square at Dollar Tree. So to start off, I'm just going to be hot gluing this to one of my pickup trucks. Next, I'm just going to be adding some hot glue to the crate and then placing my second pickup truck on top. But when I'm doing this, I do like to stand it up. That way I make sure all 4 wheels are touching the ground and everything is nice and even. This is pretty much the base of this craft, and you can turn this into a bunch of different things. You could fill this truck up with some faux florals and make a really beautiful fall floral display. I wanted to just show you a really easy way to decorate this pickup truck. So I found these window clings at Dollar Tree, and I thought that this pickup truck here would work perfectly on our metal pickup truck. So when I placed it on top, the size was not exactly the same. It's a little bit off, but I figured it could work. So the first thing I had to do though was just trim off those pumpkins because they definitely were not fitting up top, and I'm going to be placing my own things in the back anyway. Now you can just Mod Podge this to the metal, but what I like to do is just take a paper towel with a little bit of water and just wet the surface, and these window clings will stay on perfectly, and that way if you want to take them off, it's really easy to just peel them off and use them for something else. Found these plush pumpkins at Dollar Tree. I'm pretty sure these ones are new for this year, and I thought that these would look so cute in the back of this pickup truck. Dollar Tree had a couple of different colors of these plush pumpkins. They had some plaid ones, but these ones were definitely my favorite. I love how neutral they are. And that's pretty much it for this DIY, but I did want to show you how it looks with just the galvanized metal. And it's something just a little more simple. You can decorate it with the leaf window clings or even the pumpkins. That way you just have a little pop of color instead of that full pickup truck window cling. And this is how it turned out. I'm really curious to know, which side do you guys prefer? Do you like the side with the full blue pickup truck or just the really simple look of the galvanized metal pickup truck? Let me know in the comments below. This next DIY is another one of my favorites because of how simple it is, but still really beautiful. To start off with, we're going to be using 2 of these gold frames from the Dollar Tree. They have a really high-end and minimalist look to them. And to open them up, you just want to lift the tabs up in the back and then remove that kickstand by sliding it out. You can easily pop out the glass. So the glass is actually 2 pieces of glass wedged together, and they do have this paper in the center. The tape that was holding the picture in place was a little bit sticky, so just take your time peeling that off and it should come off pretty clean. And now to decorate, we're actually going to be using those leftover Dollar Tree window clings from the last DIY. So I'm going to be using 2 pumpkins and 2 leaves. And in each frame, I'm going to do alternating colors. Once you add your window clings to that first piece of glass, you can just take that second piece and put it right on top and sandwich them in between. Then you can just put it back in the frame, close the tabs, and then put that kickstand back on. I absolutely love this DIY because it's so simple and you can use this with any window clings that you like, and you can even change them out for every season or holiday. These are probably my favorite frames that I've ever bought from the Dollar Tree, and next time I go, I'm definitely going to have to stock up on them. Now I'm just taking the other pumpkin and leaf and adding them to my second photo frame. And here is how they turned out. This definitely has to be one of my favorite Dollar Tree DIYs because of how simple it is, but I really love the look of it. It's definitely something unique and different. I'm so curious to know what you guys think about this DIY. Let me know below. For this DIY, we're actually going to be using some leftover pieces from the previous DIYs in this video. So these are the window clings that I used for that first cutting board DIY, and I had a few left over, and I also had this shadow box left over from the would-be garland, so I thought it would be fun to just do something to incorporate those pieces together. To get started, I just popped that back piece out of the frame. It came out really easily. It was just being held in with some staples, so just be careful you don't snag your finger on those if you pop it out. Now, there are a couple of different options you have to cover this up. So you could just paint this, and I would suggest painting the back portion if you want to go that route. This white chalk paint would be great. This would cover it up really easily, but I'm actually going to be using this leftover scrapbooking paper to cover up the paper side. So I just use as a template to cut out that square, and then to attach it, I'm just going to be using a glue stick. And now that I have my new background, I'm going to go ahead and grab my leftover window clings from that first DIY and just take them off and start to lay them out and play with them and figure out how I want them to be. I'm just working with these pieces since I had them left over, but you can of course use this technique with any window clings you like. Once I was happy with the layout, I just took that same matte Mod Podge that I used earlier and I glued each piece down, and then I added a final coat of Mod Podge over everything to seal it in place and let it dry completely. Now that it's dry, I'm just going to be popping it right back into my frame, and it did fit pretty snug, but I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue in the back just to make sure that it stays in place. And if that top piece is getting in your way and you're not going to be hanging this on a wall, you can just pop it out. It comes out really easily. And here's a closer look at the final project. This one would be perfect for a coffee nook or even by a tea kettle. And those are all of the new fall DIYs that I have for you guys today. I really hope that you guys enjoyed them, and if you did, please give this video a big thumbs up and make sure you are subscribed to my channel because I have a lot of new content on the way very soon. Thank you so much for watching. To subscribe to my channel, you can just click on my picture right here.